Hi, and welcome to the In the Cortex podcast. We are your hosts,
I'm Danielle Periconi.
and I'm Paloma Garcia, and we are the founders of In the Cortex, an online community with programs that show people the tools they need to change their lives through brain reorganization. No medication, just movement.
And when you get your brain out of survival mode and regulate your nervous system, you start to live in the fun, logical part of the brain, the cortex. Subscribe today and learn how to live your best in the cortex life. And now on to today's episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the In the Cortex podcast. Thanks for listening to this episode. Today, Danny and I were talking about a lot of things, as we usually do. And I think a couple of things that came up that were really interesting were kind of what the process looks like of actually doing the brain work and the reconnects. And I think that a lot of people are a little bit just very curious about it because I think it's very different from a lot of other modalities that are out there. No, so we wanted to talk about that, especially because we've had some really great sessions lately and like amazing breakthroughs from people that are really willing to go there, and
Yeah.
for anybody who's not a member yet, the way that the program works is that the first 6 modules, you're focusing on the brain and the nervous system, right? You're focusing on the exercises, on really getting that brain reorganized, getting yourself out of survival mode, which remember, we've talked about this. Sometimes you're in survival mode and you do not even know it. You could be in a functional freeze. You could be in a functional fight even. Like, I know nobody talks about that, but I believe that exists. I believe that there are people that they're just MO is fight, and they kind of are able to shut it off sometimes, but they just go there all the time. And flight, of course, happens as well. So once your nervous system is more regulated, then a lot of us are ready to start looking at our subconscious, right? And start looking at those beliefs that we have that might be limiting us, that might be holding us back. And it really depends on the person. We used to be very adamant about people doing the brain work first and then doing the subconscious work. But little by little, we've noticed that just like everything in this program, we have to be flexible with this part too. And so some people really resonate with the subconscious piece first and they want to start there. Or some people, what I've had happen in a couple sessions is that they're they get to a point where they're stuck in their movements and they're like, I'm not progressing with this exercise. So that's where we're like, maybe you need a little bit more of like the emotional component, the subconscious component. And that's where a lot of the coaching comes in, right? That's where people will call us and say, hey, I want a session. Let's set it up. And we help them work through this stuff and see where the blocks are. Is it a neurological piece? Is it subconscious? Is it something else, right? Is it something that we neither one of us have even thought of, right? So
Right.
that's really the way that it works normally.
Yeah. And I think it's such a scale. It's such a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a
Spectrum.
spectrum. Thank you. Of how every single person has so many pieces to put together, right? And I love that you said sometimes you don't even know you're dysregulated because you only know yourself and you only know how you operate in the world. And I think that was it's such like an eye-opening moment for me when I literally had no idea that I had anxiety until it was gone because I only knew an anxious world. I only knew a fight world. I only knew a flight world. I thought that's how everyone responded. And once I did the brain work, I was like, oh, wait, I can actually sit here in this moment instead of having to cry or having to walk away or having to take something to numb it. And then I'd say in the last, really the last 5 years, really the last year or two, I think we've gotten really heavy into realizing the subconscious in how much of an impact it has. So it's like you get the regulation under your belt and you're like, okay, I now have a different baseline. But then you see yourself having these same patterns keep coming back, same relationships, same things. And we just talked about that in the last episode of how our programs are literally everywhere. And then it's like, but what do you do about it? And I think that we're in a world today where there's so many options. And I think we're in a world today where it's very heavy on I'm the expert, I'm going to help you. And then we create this world where we're always needing the expert to help us get through something. And our business model is really about you becoming your own expert, you becoming the person who can walk yourself through certain things. And it's just like
Or
anything,
crawl
you need
yourself through, am I
or
right?
crawling yourself. I love that. And I think it's just like anything where in the beginning, you need someone who's confident, who's been through this and they can guide you. And once they've guided you, our goal always between Paloma and myself is to get you to not need us. We want you to be in that space where you can confidently be in a moment that's this is intense. Wait, I have tools. I can get myself out of it. And we talk a lot about how I think, and this is not to like say that we're better than anybody else or to say that our model is the best approach. Our model is just really practical and it's just a very like accessible way of like looking at how we live in this world. And it's so accessible that I have like 4-year-olds that I work with at school that can apply the tools and they remember to use them. And they're like, Miss Danny, when
Mhm.
I was really nervous, I did this movement and it helped me calm down. Or Miss Danny, I did a reconnect and I said, I'm calm and I did it. And I'm like, that's a 4-year-old. And so just think of how equipped they're going to be in the world. And so I think that's where we want to help you understand where you lie on that spectrum, like Paloma said, like help you see what's neurological, what's a reconnect. And I just came out of a session today where someone was like, I did a lot of the brain work, but I still have this physiological response every time I drive. And so I taught her about muscle checking. And I was like, okay, now you can use muscle checking to know what's going on with your subconscious. And she was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." And it's funny because right at module 7 is when we introduce the reconnects. And we'll have people who start module 1 to 6 and they charge it. They go hard. They're like, I can do this. I'm doing my brain work every day. And then the minute we start talking about the emotional piece, some people are like, oh, great. I'm not ready for this. Like, this is too much. And that's where we say that's okay. And that's why we switch back to our lifetime access model because we want to let you have that space and time to know when you're ready to come back. Right.
Yeah,
And
because at
so,
the end of the
yeah,
day, the only thing like, the only person that truly knows when you're ready is you, right? And
yeah,
so, and I think that we because we're always wanting as a society to be better, to fix ourselves, quote unquote, we kind of push ourselves sometimes to do things that we're not fully ready for. And like, I know you and I have done this before where like, I don't know why I did that thing or took on that project or decided to do, like, or even did that
mm-mm,
reconnect. Like I wasn't ready for it. Of course my body didn't take it because just wasn't ready. I was jumping way ahead, 25 steps ahead of where I was meant to start. Right. And I love it because now a lot of people who resonate much more with the reconnects and with the emotional part, people who are used to talking about the things, looking at their subconscious beliefs, looking at the triggering pieces, etc. They're the ones who will start with that. And then one day, because they're like, nope, I don't like creeping. Nope, I don't want to
no.
do it. I'm just not gonna, it's too hard. I don't have space. I don't have time. I don't have this and that and this and that. And we've heard all of the reasoning behind that, to not use another word. But those were the people that one day they're like, you know what? I decided to start creeping and I feel so great now, and it's so cool to
Yeah.
see like how people kind of approach it. But that's also why I think something really valuable that we have is the community in our
Mm,
app, because anybody can just go in there and some people will just say, hey, I live here. This is my name. I'm doing this program for myself and my daughter, and this is how I found in the cortex, right? And some people are like, guys, I really need help with this one specific thing. I need to find a reconnect for this. Other people are like, where do I find the video for this? Like there's all these different
yeah.
kinds of like conversations going in there. And little by little, it's becoming a lot more active, which I love. And of
Mhm.
course, you and I are always in there like answering
Yeah.
everything. But I think that that's something that's really valuable about this specific approach because, like you said, while people are practicing, and a lot of them will have sessions with us on the side and then still go to the community to ask things. Right. And like, I think that that's cool because they're figuring out how to figure things out, right? If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that basically the way that the program looks is you start it, you literally do what you can, meaning I am Paloma. I can only do this program 3 days a week. I'm not into creeping. It's really, really exhausting. Makes my head hurt, which by the way is normal to everybody whose head hurts when they do the exercises. So I'm going to just do 2 minutes a day for 3 times a week. Fantastic. Hi, I'm Danny. I am in the moment that I need to change. I am desperate. I want to do anything I need to feel better right now. I'm going to do 45 minutes a day
Mhm.
every single day. There's no way I'm gonna skip it. Great.
Mhm.
Naturally, Danny's gonna see changes a little bit faster than me, right? If that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing, but that's okay because her system is seeking it out like, I need this, right?
That's
Mine
it.
isn't. Maybe mine isn't
Mhm.
ready for that, for such a quick change. And this is something that I love that
Oh,
when
yeah.
kids do, because kids are
Yeah.
so good at being in tune with themselves. Like we
Yes.
don't give them enough credit, like, they really do know what's up, right? And, like, I know a lot of parents who they're like, "One of my kids will literally come and remind me, like, Mom, we have
Mhm.
to do our exercises," right? And the other one's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not into it today." And sometimes I'm like, "You
Yeah.
know what? let them. Is it really, really affecting their lives? Is it that big of a
Then not do
difference if
it.
one of them
Yeah.
does it or they don't, right? So, like and you
Mhm.
gotta get them motivated too, but if the kids are really telling you, like, "I am not ready to do this," cool, maybe they do reconnects. Maybe
Yeah.
they do some of the other exercises, right? Like, the point is that the way the program looks is how you want it to look, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's something that I think takes a little bit of a while for people to wrap their head around sometimes because 'cause we're used to being like, "Okay, tell me what to do, I'm gonna do it," and then
Mhm.
everything's gonna be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that's
It's
not the way we
yes,
work.
exactly. 'Cause we're reprogramming how we think we should be operating in the world, and it's literally going back to how we were supposed to be, right? We weren't supposed to be told every 5 seconds what to do. We were supposed to tune in and feel and know and be really connected to our intuition, and we're no longer. And so this is what our program's trying to, like, subconsciously, I just thought of that, like, our program subconsciously is shifting you back into a space of tuning into
Yes.
yourself. And I think, for example, we were talking to a mom today, and she was like, the Brainwork goes really great when it's me and my 2 kids during the week. And then when my husband comes home, or he's home on the weekends, because he's home during the week too. But when he's home on the weekends, we all want to do it as a family. But then my son and him start to kind of get into it. I was like, well, you just do it with your husband and leave your kids out of it for the weekend. And she's like, oh, is that okay? We're like, yeah, of course that's okay, because that's going with the flow of what your life is. So then if you and your husband, because what's happening is you and your husband have that conflict and tension happening. He's trying to correct your son and you're telling him not to correct his son. And it's just this triangle of, like, chaos happening. Let's just break that cycle. Let's just have you and your husband go be the adults here that can go use the tools, get yourselves really regulated and on the same page. And then when you're ready, your son will just join in and it's going to be an easier flow.
And this
And
is all coming down to trust if you think
it
about it, when
is
you're what you're everything
yourself.
you're saying.
Yes, it
Trusting
is.
yourself and trusting the process and trusting
Yes.
timing and trusting I think we lose trust. We lose trust
Yes.
as a society as we get older. We're told we're kind of shown and taught not to trust ourselves and not to trust kind of these things that are like maybe not as visible, not as measurable, not
Yes.
as researchable, right? And so that's
Yes.
where we get separated from our intuition, right? And that's, well, I just have this feeling that I should do this. No. Where's
Mhm.
your peer reviewed study about that? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Show
I
me the
just be like,
science. Oh my
show me it.
gosh.
Prove it.
Yes.
Like, how can I prove to you that this is the right decision? How can I prove to myself
Yes.
that this is the right thing to do? And
Mhm.
that's completely separating ourselves from how we were designed to operate on this world. Because we weren't, again, if we were robots, cool, do
Right.
that. We're
Right.
not, but we think we are.
No.
We think that we operate in this way that is just like 100% rational and logical. And like
Right.
we're not acknowledging that we are animals, and I know we say this every single podcast, but I think we just need to continue to say it all the time because I just believe this so fervently is that we need to remember that we are animals. This is the why we chose, like, this is why evolution worked the way it did, right? Like, our brains haven't changed in the past 30, 40, or 50,000 years, depending on which science you're looking at, okay?
Speaking of
Like,
science.
again, science, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so long. Can we take a
It's
second to,
crazy.
like,
Yeah, it's
what?
crazy.
It's
The structure
bonkers.
hasn't changed. And think about how different our lives are. But this is where I feel like right now the theme, and this obviously is not a blanket statement for everybody. This is the theme. It's like trust. But why have we lost trust? Is
Yeah.
because we've lost safety. We've
Mhm.
had trust broken. And so we go back into this survival place. And you can look at this in literally Instagram, TikTok comment section of, like, that's not true. Here, where's the science? And it's because that's such an easy way to put up armor. It's such
Yeah.
an easy way to hide from what's happening, because I've had my trust broken before. And when you've had trust broken, we all know how long it takes to get back, right? It can take a second to break trust and it takes forever to gain it back. And I think I'm being, like, secretly fed these messages, like, on my TikTok and Instagram of, like, all these men that cheat on their girlfriends
Yeah.
and wives. And I'm like, oh, I'll never trust a man, Like, it's so simple to, like, know that, like, that trust can be broken so fast, and how it feels painful. And we're totally programmed to also know that, like, that pain of being in a broken trust situation is so scary to ever go feel it again, that we avoid it at all cost. And so this is why I love a reconnect, because it literally can go back and heal that feeling
without
of
having to relive
right,
it.
exactly, and that's the most important thing. So, like, when we're in a session with somebody, when we're taking them deeper into, like, "Okay, what's blocking you? What's coming up right now?" And they start talking about their day and, like, all the things that are happening, and I'm writing down notes of, like, "Okay, let's see if we can find a pattern here." And then we finally get to one thing and we're like, "Oh, it looks like safety. It looks like you're not feeling safe." And then we muscle check, "I am safe." And they'll be like, "Yes." I'm like, "Oh, okay, now check yourself for I feel safe." And it's like, "Whoa, I don't." And so then we use that as our goal. I feel safe. And we're doing a bunch of movements that are attached to that goal statement or an affirmation, if you will. And while we're doing those movements, it's literally bringing our brain back into a sync state, a theta state. So it's going into our subconscious. And then we're now like able to actually go back and heal that inner child moment of when you first felt unsafe. And like a lot of times when we're in these sessions, people really show some emotions because it's the first time they sat in that storm again. But here's where I love it is that the adult you gets to go give the little you the thing they needed. And so it's and then I always say, like, that little you now can look up to the adult you and be like, "Look how far you've come. Look at how great you're doing with all that pain you've lived with for so long." And it's just this amazing connection. And that's what a reconnect does. It just goes back and gives the little you that voice, that being seen, being heard, feeling safe. And then you walk out of it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel lighter. I'm not carrying around that emotion that never got processed again." And so we just do that over with different emotions, different experiences, but we don't have to like fully relive the trauma of it. What we're doing is we're giving the healing of it, what we wish we had, what we needed in that moment, and it's more empowering that way. So instead of going to
Yeah.
therapy and talking about all the things that happened to you and you're in the victim, now you're in the driver's seat and you're empowered to be able to work through it. And so our goal is we do a bunch of these sessions to walk you through, but we're really teaching you that the next time you're hit with something heavy, hey, I have like literally a set tool bank that can bring me through that feeling. And now and I can't even tell you how many times you and I are both just like, it's actually laughable. Like how many times we're like, I don't even know how I felt that way. Like I don't
I
even know it's
I had a
gone.
moment last week too, and I was like, I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I
Yeah.
cared about that? Oh, I can't believe I went to the I don't remember I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something that happened when I was in Spain, and I was like, "I can't believe I went through all that trouble to, like, not show something." I was, like,
Yeah.
embarrassed about something, but I
Yeah.
don't know what it was, but or,
Yes.
like, I made something up to, like, sound, like I
Yeah.
knew something or, like, it was cooler, I don't know, something like that,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Wow."
Isn't it
She was
crazy?
she was I mean,
Hurting.
yeah. She was hurting, she was my little 33-year-old baby self, right? Like, I know it's
It's
not that long
crazy.
ago, but it feels like literally a million years ago, and I think that another, like, really cool piece about the reconnects is once you see how simple it is, you start to apply it everywhere. I remember perfectly my friend Julia one time, I was like we were just chatting, like, on WhatsApp, and she's like I told her, like, "This thing happened today, and I just got so
Oh, yeah.
triggered, and so I got home, and I just, like, wrote down some stuff, and I reconnected it, so I'm feeling really good." She was like, "Whoa, you just did that?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, I just duh." She's like, "I
Yeah.
can't believe you, like, took charge from that." And I'm like, "Well, that's a point." She's like, "I can
Yeah.
do that too, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." So that's
Anybody.
exactly it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that something that's really cool is a lot of our members come from many years of therapy and they've done
Mhm.
therapy, talk therapy for many years. And I love therapy. I think it's a wonderful
Yeah.
tool. I don't think there's
Mhm.
anything wrong with it. And I think that especially for somebody that doesn't have like you and I have like this
Mhm.
constant dialogue with each other, with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I will write things down and
Yeah.
some people don't have that yet, right? And hopefully what we want is for everybody to get to a point where they can do it. But sometimes you do want like somebody else to like give you some perspective and really
Yeah.
help you get there, right? Like ask you the right questions to get you going there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the people that have been in therapy for years and years and years say, I love my therapist. Like, this is awesome, but I never felt like I could do anything about it. Like, I would uncover all of these things about my
Mhm.
past and
Mhm.
about my patterns and about my subconscious, but there was nothing I could do about it. And so now I have a tool that I'm using for it. And I've started to have a couple of therapist friends that are recommending people to me because they're like, this person needs the regulation and they need the tool whatever that thing is called, that reconnect that you do, can you
Yeah.
just teach
Yeah.
them to do that, And I love that because that's the whole point. Like, we're all here to just help each other. And I think that that's
Yeah.
like the main thing. Like, if we can all, the people that are doing this work, start to work together and just like bounce people off, because sometimes in a session with me, I'll be like, you know what? I don't think I can help you with that. And I'm going to find somebody who can help you, who's a
Yeah.
therapist who can maybe guide you in a different way. I just did that recently with a client where I was like, you know what? And he's doing great now, right? And
Mhm.
he's getting somebody
Mhm.
who's able to really support him in the way that he needed, right? So
Yeah.
I love the idea. And I know this is a vision that we've had for so long for in the cortex of having like a network of people
Yeah.
that all work
Mhm.
together with each other to give others the support that they need, but at the ultimately empowering them to be able to do it on their own,
That's
right?
the
And
key.
that's really what it's all about, and creating these communities of people who are wanting to feel better. And yeah, so that is the way that the
Yeah.
program looks. Like
Yeah.
honestly, long term, thinking 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a huge community of people that are all over the world that are helping each other out and supporting each other. And let's hope that this is podcast is me speaking it into the universe, right? And
Yeah.
anybody that wants to join us can reach out to us and let us know, because we know that this is a revolution that's waiting to happen. People want this so badly. People are craving community, they're craving
Yeah.
support, and people who
Conscious.
can understand them and who can help them contain themselves and contain each other and just like live life together. That's the way we were meant to
Yes.
live, is together in
Yeah.
groups, in communities, with others. Do you always have
Mhm.
to like every single person in your community? No. Do you think tribesmen, that are living in a tribe right now, like everybody loves each other? No. Like that's not the way that it goes, right? It's not this like utopia where we're all friends and there's never ever a problem ever again. Because then how do you learn if there's no friction in your life, right?
Right.
We need that
That's
friction. That's why we
gross.
operate the way that we do. That's growth.
It really is. And I think I honestly, I keep coming back to this too, just like you keep talking about how we're all animals at the end of the day. I know more than anything, and you know this too, is that how much our consciousness is actually shifting. And I sometimes wonder, like, is this just the vacuum I'm living in? But I know there's a lot of us. I know there's a lot of us that are actually like having these conversations. And I just want to share that, like, I and Paloma, we both go through this. Like, we're doing the work with you. And when I say work, we're facing those emotions that used to stop us dead in our tracks. Like, I just had this thought
Right.
when you were talking, like, I used to not handle driving my car in a chill way. Like I literally couldn't be chill. Like I literally was like wanting to control everybody else and how terrible of a driver they were. And I'm like, I know where I got it. I know who programmed that in me. But I also now am in the space where I'm like, I can't even think of one thing that actually irritates me fully to the place where I can't move forward. Like I literally couldn't move forward. And I think that's what you're saying too when we're talking about a reconnect and tools is it literally gets you to move forward. And so many of us
Yes.
are just stuck in these loops. Like I said, I've had back pain my whole life. Like when someone tells me that they've been living with a certain pain for so long, I want to just be like, have you ever considered like your body talking to you? Like, have you
Mhm.
considered that your body is literally like trying to heal itself and you can't because that emotion never got processed through? And
Exactly.
I just have to share this because I like to be real and open, and I'm very honest about my journey that I've been on. And I was really stuck in codependency my whole life, and I really didn't see it until one day I saw it. And I remember being with you where it really started clicking, and I was like, Paloma would like look at me like, "How are you able to ignore all of those red flags?" And I was like, I don't know. Where are they? And I was like, because they were facing me this way. They weren't like sideways. So it was
Yeah,
easy to
exactly.
like look past
Did you
them,
see the
right?
color?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't see the color. I was like, "Oh, there's something in the distance. I know it feels and it seems off, but I'll just keep going." And it's because I was so disconnected from my intuition for so long because I was told my whole childhood that what I was feeling was not actually something to feel. Like I was
Mhm.
literally called too sensitive and I overreacted. Everyone said I overreacted to everything. And granted I did because I had a very disorganized brain, but also I am a very emotional person, not as much anymore, which is actually so crazy to me. Like I used to like emote everywhere. Like it was just constant crying about everything. Printer would break and I would just like fall to the ground and cry. Like I literally didn't know how to move forward. And now today I'm like, wow, I was living in such a state of codependency for so long and I finally broke through it. And I was like, "Yeah, Paloma, I'm literally thriving. I live by myself and my with my 2 kids, and I have 4 cats." Like, that's thriving. And I'm like, I know that sounds so weird on the outside. I just adopted them, and they live in the garage, and we were just, like, laughing so hard because I was like, from the outside, if you put that on paper, they'd be like, "You don't sound like you're doing that great."
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
who's taken on 4 cats in one go needs some more help. And I'm like, "Actually, no, like, I've literally been able to, like, reduce the I wanna say the toxic loops, and just, like, I finally was like, I now have the strength and the power in me to look at a belief system and say, "No, I don't want that anymore." And you've done it
Mhm,
too. And you're like,
mhm.
and now I'm like, but instead of saying, "I don't want that, I want this." And that's what a reconnect is. It's really important that we always make them positive, and we make them something that we want to become, but we're saying it as if we've already become it. And so some
Exactly.
people will call that like manifestation or whatever, but it's really just getting your nervous system to line up with how you want your life to look. So if you feel unsafe, you're going to say, I feel
I
safe.
am safe. Yeah, I feel
I
safe.
am safe. If you feel like you're constantly scattered and disorganized, I'm organized. I'm calm. So you're always putting it into a positive. And sometimes people are like, well, how do I get rid of like codependency or whatever? It's like, then you just say, I release. I release certain things so they no longer stay, or I'm unattached. And that's the way to get rid of that. So that way it's still in a positive framing and it's still moving you forward, because
Mhm.
to release things is such a great feeling. That's when it's like you, who wants to carry around
The
all this extra
best.
weight, you know?
And
It's
it's
like
really the coolest piece, again, and I know we've said this before, is that, like, when you do a reconnect and then it just things shift and you're like, "Huh, what
that's
happened?" I don't even
yeah,
know which reconnect it was, but I feel
right.
great. And
Right.
I didn't get triggered by this and that and this and that that normally would have made me so angry, like you said, right? And, like, stopped me. Because again, it's not like you're never gonna get annoyed again, it's not like
No.
you're never gonna have a trigger again, because that's impossible, but
But
it
this is
no
ooh,
longer stops you
yes.
completely from living your life, and it's the same for the brain work, like, I
Yeah.
think something that I talk about all the time, like, is my midbrain was very disorganized, it was very underdeveloped,
Mhm.
so a lot of my things, this, were, like, tactile sensitivities, like, sensory
Yeah.
stuff, and I never even knew that I had that
Yeah.
until I started learning about it, and I started working in schools for kids with autism. I was like,
Mm, I
that's
relate.
what dude, I
Yes.
get it. I know why you don't like that. I don't like it either,
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
I would be like, "Yes, that feels disgusting. I don't wanna touch it anymore either. Let's go play something else?" And so when I did it, I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, I didn't realize how much it was holding me back, like, thinking
Right.
about the tag in my shirt for the entire day. And I would
Yeah.
act like it didn't, but then I was, like, screaming at everybody and being super mean all the time, and it's like, well, I wonder why, right? Like, my go-to was always anger and just, like, not being very nice and having a very short fuse, not being very patient with others, and a lot of it was coming from being completely overwhelmed. Like, I could hear everything that was happening. If I was in a classroom, I could hear the teacher, but I could hear the person right next to me and the
Yeah.
person that was walking down the hallway, and I could hear the music that was playing next door. Like, so I think my brain was just working so incredibly hard that my fuse
Yeah.
was this big, right? So yeah. One thing is, yeah, I don't really care if I have a tag in my shirt anymore, but sometimes it'll still bug me. It doesn't ruin my day anymore, though.
Right.
It doesn't even
That's the key.
cross I'm like, oh, that's annoying. Okay, I guess I'll just change later when I get home. Before it
Yeah.
was either stop everything and go change right this instant, or
Mhm.
act like it's fine, quote unquote, and
Mhm.
be mean and in a bad mood the entire day, right? With everybody around you. And again, that was so normal to me that I genuinely did not know that it was happening until I came
Right.
back from San Diego. My friends were like, why are you so nice all of a sudden? And I was like, what? Was I not nice before?
What?
But that was one
Yeah.
of the big things, right? That shifted for me. And so I think that that's also one of those pieces that sometimes it's really not that deep. Sometimes it's just a tag in
Right.
your shirt. Then it
Exactly.
still has this power over you that you don't even know. Right.
And sometimes it's really deep where you have some really massive childhood things that you haven't processed through yet. And you don't realize you keep attracting the exact same relationship over and over. And I'm going to fix them because then that'll give me that feeling of what I had as a kid. And then you just get
Yep.
yourself stuck in the loop. And that was me. I was like literally attracting every codependent relationship that ever existed. And, even you and I have like a little joke sometimes. I'm like, I'm sending you a voice right now. Like it's giving codependency, but it's not because I'm not emotionally charged by it.
Yeah.
Just a heads up. But, and I just think it's so like now we can laugh. I think that
Yes.
is like the best feeling in the world is like, and that's why I want to say like live, laugh, love all the time because I laugh more than I ever have in my life. And there's so much to laugh about. There's so much more
Yes.
fun to be had. It's completely like a true, authentic, genuine attachment to loving my life and like all the messy parts of being a human and also getting to like laugh my way through it and like giggle about things. I
Yeah.
think that has been my favorite brain change of my entire life is just to like not get that serious and not take things personal and be able to like trust that I'm being redirected versus rejected and like all these things, like I couldn't do that before.
Yeah, and,
And it's
like, think about
because of
our coaching calls, like, people when we
yeah.
do, like, Cortex chats or, like, group calls and people are like,
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah, like, let's we're gonna do this group coaching," and they join and they're like, "Wait, this
Oh,
is fun."
fun.
Like, we're taking it lightly and we're being, a
Yeah.
little bit more silly with it and just kind of going with it, and so I think yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of brain change is being able to take life more lightly because that also
Yeah.
keeps you in your cortex, remember? Sense of
If you're
humor is a cortex
laughing.
function, being able to laugh at yourself, to laugh at whatever's
Yes.
going on and not taking it so seriously.
Oh my gosh. I'm all for like, let's get out. And I love this. I read this quote the other day on it was on my meditation teacher's. Well, I'm not going to get it exactly correct, but she had an awesome painting that was basically like, it is your responsibility to take life completely unserious, but it is like something like your responsibility of like being serious about the unseriousness of life. Like, it's like
Mm.
I'll find it and actually drop it in the show
So
notes because
cute,
it's
yeah.
so good because it's like, that's really it, like, everything should actually be funny, like, everything
Yes,
actually should be fun, and, like, if it's
yes.
not, what can we do? And I'm not saying trauma is fun or funny.
Of
I'm
course
saying
not.
we have the power once we learn these tools to get ourselves out. Like, and I, I was just even sharing, I was like, not one of I don't even have like a family member right now at this current moment that like is actually like communicating with me, which I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I was like, I'm not sad about it. Like, I'm actually like, I'm liberated from it. And I was telling Plum, I was like, but I have 4 cats. And it's like, that's funny. And I'm like, but I also know that that was my journey and that's what I've gotten to go through. And I'm not like sitting around like moping and wondering like, oh, why? I just like was like, oh, that's weird. I just realized that like no one has connected with me. And I'm like, oh, but I haven't connected with them. So maybe that's on me. And like, and that's what it is. It's not
Yeah.
that deep. We're all living our own lives and we're all doing our own thing. We're all doing these things. And I think when one person goes through something heavy, we kind of expect everybody else to kind of cater to them and like help them through it. And they're like, how could they be living their lives right now and having fun when I'm feeling this way? And I think that's where we realize, like, wait, we all have the responsibility to go take care of our stuff and not let it bleed out into the entire world. And this is an amazing process that just it's connected to a community. There's people who are doing it with you. We're making it fun. We're also taking like what you're feeling serious. So your feelings matter, but we're also not putting you into the victim space. We're putting you into an empowered space. So it's kind of this like dance of like all these things happening at once. And it's a life transformation. It really is. It's like it's transformed my life. It's transformed yours. It's transforming all the hundreds of our members that are joining us. And we just want more people to understand that it doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy. It is
It
simple.
can be
You
so
don't
easy.
have to resource out everything. You can learn how to handle yourself as we were
Mhm.
intended to, right? With a
Yes.
community. So it's like, let's just I mean, what do you have to lose, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yes,
Let's do it.
100%.
Amazing. Okay, well, if you want to know more about our program, inthecortex.com, that's where we have our access to lifetime access of the program. And that was confusing. If you have questions for us, hello at inthecortex.com. Reach out to us at any time for anything. We have a free 15-minute phone call so you can connect with one of us and talk about what's going on in your life and we can help you understand is this the path? Is this the path for you? And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank
Bye.
you.